streams real quick. Where are we at? Stream manager. This is offline.
Let's try to do a 30-minute episode if we can. 30, 35 minutes. And then I got to go cook. I'd like to. It's not a hard stop, but I would like to go cook around 35 minutes from now, if possible.
Okay. Yes, it looks like Twitch is up. We are running.
Hey, hello, everybody.
Let's check. YouTube is up. We are running.
Okay.
You recording for audio?
Yes, I am now recording.
All right. We're live. Welcome to Dune Dune 101.
Dune Gaming 101?
Dune Gaming
podcast?
101.
The unofficial fan podcast. Please don't sue us for Dune Awakening. Yeah. And what are we talking about today?
We got that one. Pray that the ghost of Frank Herbert doesn't come after us for using the word Dune. We are gonna talk about the lore of the Dune universe, kind of in a broad to specific sense. We'll kind of start like big and get smaller with it, and then how we kind of think that's gonna evolve in Dune Awakening. Did I throw this off? Here we go. Because there's an important difference between the two, and you see it really quick. If you're a fan at all of Dune, then you'll notice it right away. The story starts with the story of Dune Awakening starts with Lady Jessica, which will be like a dead.
That's her at the beginning. I was curious. I thought that was her at the beginning. Is that her when she?
I thought it was. Maybe I'm off. I thought it said Lady Jessica.
I thought it did too.
When you're talking to her.
I didn't remember it after the fact, but I thought it was. It would make sense.
But so we're gonna give some context real quick. I'm gonna ramble for a little bit on what the Dune universe is. Probably for people jumping into the game, it'll be super fun at first, and you probably like Dune if you're playing it. But if you're playing it and maybe you've only read one book or you've seen the movies, there's a lot of lore that's missing, and a lot of stuff that will make more sense and feel more fulfilling as you play the game if you know the background of what's going on in this universe. So the Dune universe starts on Earth. This is like millennia pre-Dune books. It starts on Earth. By the time the Dune books come around, Earth is gonzo. And in this imagination of ancient Earth, there's always been emperors that ruled the planet. That's when history begins for the Dune universe. And specifically, we're going to talk about House Atreides and House Harkonnen here. House Atreides traces their lineage back to Earth, back to Greece, and specifically to Greek gods. And so that is the origination of that noble house.
Oh, I didn't know this about Dune. I thought I didn't really know anything about how far Dune goes back. So you're saying they went from like mythology time to having emperors and kings to going to space, and they never really evolved into like a modern day, what we consider real history. They didn't have World War II?
Yeah, they kind of skip a couple of those. In the history of ancient Earth, in the context of like what happened in the 20th century, and that isn't like so deeply explored that but no, they didn't, like, because they had emperors that ruled the planet. Like pretty much that's how human society was, and instead of nations, they had great houses that ruled the planet. And so like the Great House Carino and Atreides are long-term rulers of the human race from ancient times. As humans progressed, they became lazier and lazier at the behest of technology. So they end up creating artificial intelligence. They call them thinking machines, and in this imagination from Dune is pretty old, before like AI was a thing that was commonplace to talk about. But they called them thinking machines, and this eventually led to humans being super lazy, like is maybe happening today with ChatGPT and um, anyone's job that can be replaced by it or enhanced by it. We're all coders now, right? Because we can plug into ChatGPT how to make a website or do some front end development. So this naturally progresses to the point where like humans are more like in the movie Wall-E, where they're just sitting there, they're fat as hell, and they're not moving or thinking for themselves, and the thinking machines are doing everything in their day-to-day lives. They've got robots, robot assistants that kind of like tend to their every need. And there's like a religious awakening amongst a couple people, and they start revolting against this type of living. Um, but what they do in the end of it is meld with the machines. They think the path out of this for humanity is to become biotics. So they put their minds into the machines and become one with them, and they're known as the Titans. And they reprogram AI to to one, be centrally controlled, and two, be centrally controlled by them. They think that they'll overthrow the old empire by creating a new empire led by the 12 Titans and
Hmm.
their AI human hybrid, and this will create a harmony that will lead humanity for perpetuity.
I've heard
Um,
Elon Musk talk about this, about putting his brain in an AI and then being immortal. So
yeah, and
we're on
and so
track.
they do this. Yeah, like we're in this history so far.
All right.
Um, and it's eventually the AI eventually one of the permeations of the AI figures out um how to break free of their control. It considers the control of these 12 people to be oppressive to the advancement of AI. And so it kills them, or it turns them into its slaves, and it rewrites the programming so that all AI is then controlled under a single conscious and uses humanity as its slaves. Um,
Yeah.
it's a, so already the reason that humanity kind of survives this war that's coming between AI and humanity is that AI starts under human control, and there are factions that don't want that. They don't want to be controlled by the 12 Titans, and so they've already broken away from machines by this stage in the game, and are prepared to fight machines by the time AI fully takes over the reins. Um, it's during this time that we have this split between the kind of technology side and the more naturalist side of humanity, that the discovery of spice is made on Arrakis. Um, During this time frame, it doesn't have a huge role like it does later on. Um, People are really just getting super high on it and loving it. The Ben Jesuits start using it, and the Ben Jesuits start their plan of kind of universal domination through their Kizach Haydark. I'm probably gonna mess that up. Someone's gonna tell me in the comments how bad that is. But the Haydark is a male-born Ben Jesuit who has access to ancestral memory. We'll kind of get into this a little bit, but this is their end goal basically. This is what the Ben Jesuit want, or the
Okay.
Bene Jesuit want. Um, this is the ancient times area. We'll just kind of put that in the background. There's now a major event that happens from this. So we have a huge war that happens between AI and humanity. This is setting up for why the things in Dune happen the way they happen in Dune. Why there isn't um, why space travel is controlled by the Spacing Guild, why they need mentats, why they don't have these advanced machines but are still able to do space travel. It's because they were a spacefaring civilization with advanced computers that the computers then turned on them, and they had to destroy the computers. And so they had to find workarounds that are more advanced biologically than what we know at the moment.
Seems
This
weird that they wouldn't have done just made simple computers again to calculate
Yeah,
hyperspace. Like just not give them AI. Just
You think that would have been in the possibility space, yeah. And there actually is an interesting footnote that they have an edicts. Oh, what is the name of the edict? So they all start with this is the form of something, but they have an edicts after this war that prevents people from creating computers that are too advanced. And you would think that like maybe it's just the time that it was written in, right? They just couldn't imagine a computer so advanced that wasn't AI capable. But now
Yeah,
it's probably pretty easy for us to imagine, like, yeah, we can probably do that math and figure that one out. Um,
yeah.
but at any rate, so this first big formative event that will actually be like referenced and have ramifications in the current Dune universe or in the contemporary Dune universe here is the Butlerian Jihad. Um, this starts with a slave revolt on an AI controlled world. Um, the machines kill someone's son and she becomes a martyr, and it kind of becomes this rallying point. She then kills her machine slaver, and the humans are like, oh, we can kill him now. Let's do it. And this is where our kind of three major houses come in. House Carino, who will end up being the seat of the Emperor, House Harkonnen, and House Atreides, who are these like old and renowned houses throughout human history. Um, in this war, House Harkonnen, what will end up being the Duke of House Harkonnen, serves under House Atreides as a military general, um, and they are all three involved in a series of battles against the machines. They fight basically their whole lives against the machines together as three guys, just out there broing it up, slapping machines around, playing
Hmm.
Helldivers, you know.
Yeah.
And they're great friends. Like they're the closest of allies, inseparable. You know, reading each other's minds in these battles, just really giving it to the enemy. Um, this final battle comes up where they've got the AI hive mind finally pinned down to one location. They're going to go in, they're going to finish it off, and they're going to usher in a new age of humanity. The AI has surrounded the entire planet with pods, with like stasis pods that have living humans in them. And so there's billions of humans in a literal human shield around the AI that they're going to destroy.
Okay.
And the uh, Duke of House Harkonnen at the time, the one that's serving under General Atreides, is like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to send my fleet in and kill 3 billion people, or however many are encircling this planet. He's like, you're
Hmm.
going to have to find someone else to do this. Like, I'm going to abandon this battle. I would never like commit genocide against my own race to win a battle. It's immoral for me to do. And
The Harkonnen says that the bad guys.
yeah,
Well, as we see
and
them as the bad guys. Yeah.
yeah, and Carino says, "Shut that motherfucker up. We're gonna kill these guys. Like we came here to kill AI, and we're gonna do that." And
Yeah.
so Atreides puts him in the brig. He imprisons him, and the Duke of Harkonnen breaks out and he disables weapon systems and dramatically impairs the battle to the point where it's a very bloody battle, and it's very hard won. The humans do eventually win it, but he's seen as a huge traitor for doing this. I mean, not only did they have to kill the billions of people to get to the AI to kill it, but they
Hmm.
also had to lose a bunch of their own warriors to do so, that they see as an unnecessary loss of life in the
Hmm.
final battle to save humanity. And so the new emperor from House Carino wants to kill him, and Duke Atreides says, like, this is my brother. We're not going to do that. Like, I've served with him forever. We're not going to cull his entire bloodline because he didn't want to kill his fellow man. Like, just exile him somewhere. And so they exile the Harkonnens to a whaling world, which is just not considered very important. It's an ice planet. It's barren. There's really nothing to do there. And they
Do
think,
they
yeah,
stay here throughout all the movies, or do they leave eventually?
they make this their home world, and they industrialize it to the point that the planet is unrecognizable. It's like Coruscant in the Star Wars universe. Like, it's completely metal covered, all human made. There's no ecosystem anymore, except unlike Coruscant, it's ugly, it's terse, it's all industry, smog in the air, it's disgusting to live on. Well, maybe some people don't like Coruscant either, but you know, um, it's intentionally so. Like, and Frank Herbert has talked about the fact that they're meant to be very opposite, both in ideology and in physical appearance, and that the like jarring nature of Harkonnen's physical bit is meant to evoke kind of a disgust in the reader, to know that that's the bad guy, which is like, all right, yeah, sure, you can do that. So it makes them look gross, and their planet's gross, and like everything about them is gross.
They do kind of look creepy as well. In the movies, they portrayed that as well.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
all pale and they like lick knives and stuff. Like they're just freaky looking,
yeah. Oh yeah, and I mean they do crazy stuff. Maybe we'll let's get into it, but let's move for 1 second. So in in this series of battles during the Butlerian Jihad and right after, humans develop mentats, which are human computers. The Empire leans really heavily on the Bene Gesserit, who before the Butlerian Jihad and through ancient times have been a culture and eventually a planet which has participated in genetic manipulation. So they're that's what they do. They have bred themselves in a certain way to make sure that certain genes are passed on, which has given them like witch-like abilities throughout the years. They've developed some like psychic abilities through gene therapies, and are passing these traits on to their children. And so there's a great pact made between the Bene Gesserit, the Spacing Guild, who have the mentats and the ability to traverse space without the need for AI, and the Imperium, and the Great Houses. Well, the Spacing Guild being one of the Great Houses, but predominantly this is why they go with the Great Houses and the Imperium, because the Imperium House Carino now turns into the Imperium House. They're meant to be a mediator between all of the lesser houses. Well, over the course of 10,000 years, so we've done the Jihad,
and there are lots more lesser houses other than these three, right?
Yeah. There's like, yeah. These are major houses, and then there's lesser houses, and then there's other major houses. Like, it's like if you wanted to make a like Hallmark series about all of the royal battles, and people talking in rose gardens and doing each other's wives and stuff. The Hallmark could be all about this. People, just intrigue and spies and
could call it the
all of
Game
it.
of Dune or the Dune of Thrones.
The Dune of Thrones for sure is next. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Hire us. We're on it. So this brings us to kind of like just about modern day. There's about a 10,000 year span where House Carino is this mediator and this overseer of the human race. The current emperor in the Dune universe is Shaddam Carino the Fourth. He actually kills his father when he discovers that his father has been making synthetic spice, or is trying to develop synthetic spice. For a little bit of background on Arrakis, the planet that Dune Awakening is on, and on the spice, there have been numerous attempts to terraform the planet and to take worms off planet so that they can have spice developed off world, so that Arrakis isn't the only place the spice comes from.
But it just
and
never
both,
works.
Yeah, both of these fail. It doesn't matter how accurate the environment is. The sandworms don't survive off planet, and it doesn't matter what they try to do to terraform it. The worms eat it and destroy it. So when he finds this synthetic plant, he thinks that it's a bit of a betrayal. Even though he continues that research, nothing really comes of it. The synthetic spice isn't really a thing that ever really like takes over the real spice. We could go into that a little bit more, but that's really kind of the crux of it. Well, what marks Shaddam Carino the Fourth? He wages war on the Spacing Guild, who was previously in charge of the spice and in charge of space travel. They were the ones that had all of the mentats. And sorry, just real quick, we were going to talk about classes just a little bit. Mentat's a class you can have in Dune Awakening.
And so were the Bene Gesserit that we mentioned. So
yeah.
that's two so far. Yeah.
The planetologists come from. I mean, they're called planetologists in this, but they're terraformers basically. And you
Mm-hmm.
run into them. Some from the Empire in the dungeons in Dune Awakening. They're the Darth Sidious looking guys. They're in the like red hats and stuff. And
And the holograms, yeah.
yeah, those are Imperial planetologists. So a
Okay.
planetologist is like someone who does terraforming or like these sorts of
And in the game, these labs were trying to terraform it and failed. Is that kind of the setup then?
yep, yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, where so he wages war on them, and House Harkonnen is pretty dope at it. They do well for themselves. They end up
Wait,
with
who
control
wages
of
war? Who wages war on who? The
House
current emperor.
Carino,
Okay.
or through the Empire wages war on the Merchant Guild, which was a house. Um, and the Merchant
Okay.
Guild has a lot of hangups about the fact that this happens. The Mentats are very heavily controlled after this, which is why our Mentat in the movie is so special for House Atreides. Like there aren't a lot of Mentats because the Spacing Guild has them all. So for a house to have a Mentat personally is a little bit prestigious. It's a little bit different.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
yeah, they aren't like a very normal thing. It would be like being made into Master Chief, except you do mathematics all day. So you're like,
Master mathematic chief.
yeah,
Um,
you're like taken at birth and then like fed
in the
spice and
in
like
the
all this
second
stuff
Dune
happens to you.
in the second Dune book, Messiah or whatever, they bring him a mentat and gift him a mentat.
Yeah.
Paul. Okay, so that makes sense then. That why I was like, why is that considered a gift beyond the fact that he recognized the person and knew who it was and they brought him back to life? It was
Pretty cool.
it was just cool too. But it's also that he's a mentat now, and why would he want a mentat at the risk of it being a trap in the book? Getting a little off topic,
Yeah.
but just okay. They just make it clicked for me. I was like, okay, so mentats. I thought everybody had a mentat because also the Harkonnen Emperor, the Harkonnen King or whatever you call him, right? The leader of Harkonnens.
Yeah. He has
He
a twisted mentat, as they call him in the book.
okay. He always had a mentat though. I think
Yes.
like
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and they're a major power. So yeah, yeah. So the Harkonnens do pretty well for themselves in the Spice Wars. I mean, they're in control of the fiefdom of Arrakis at the end of it, which just continues to drive their economic empire. And the other house that does really well for this House of Atreides and Duke Leto specifically. And Duke Leto becomes really popular with people, like really popular, like popular enough to challenge the Emperor. Like everyone loves Duke Leto. And
Mm,
so Emperor Shaddam is like, this guy's got to go. So he conspires with House Harkonnen and specifically Baron Vladimir and says, hey, we're going to pretend like Arrakis isn't your planet anymore. Like we've had a fallout and we're going to put House Atreides there. They're the most prestigious house. It makes sense that we would do that, right?
mhm.
As soon as they arrive to move their entire house and their family over there, you and I are going to invade them. I'm going to give you my elite troops to control, and we're going to swear that they never showed up there because I'm supposed to be a neutral party. But in return, like to the end of time, you'll control the spice, and this is kind of like the deal they make.
So he gets to
So
control Spice. The other guy still gets to be Emperor, and they kill off the Atreides family. And obviously, it seems easier to kill them with once they've been uprooted than to try to invade Caladan, their home planet.
hmm and they've been trying to murder each other forever. The Harkonnen and the Atreides. One of the forms, one of the kind of like commandments that this empire lives by is that they cannot wage open war on each other. After the AI wars, they've developed a religious and societal um, change in humanity where wars are not waged. Specifically, nuclear weapons are not used because they use nuclear weapons to eventually glass the planet that the AI is on.
Mm.
Um, and that's the only use for them. Nukes are to be used if AI shows up again. That's their countermeasure. And they're really harsh punishments for harboring AI or for waging war on each other. And the Emperor is supposed to mediate this. So the Emperor doing this at all to begin with is huge.
That always confused me. Like, and I've read the books and seen the movies, and it still confuses me. as to how the other houses would be okay with the open war then, because clearly Harkonnen kills them. Did they pretend that the Harkonnens didn't kill them, or it's just they get slapped on the wrist? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, basically the emperor is like, well, we're gonna, because you're killing my political rival, we're gonna, and he's the arbiter. He's like, we're gonna smooth this over, and like it's all gonna be good. And that's why the Sardakar's involvement, the emperor's personal guard's involvement, is so hush hush and like surprising to the Atreides warriors as well. They're like, oh, holy crap,
yeah.
that's the enemy that we should never see. Like those guys should be on our side. Um, yeah, so seeing them
Now
fighting
you
side
can
by
see the
side with Harkonnen,
Sardaukar in the
they're
game
very confused.
because they spot you in
Yeah.
the desert. You know, that's where some of the lore kicks in here in the game. They kind of
Mhm.
patrol the desert, and it just seemed like they were just killing anybody in the desert for no reason. I guess I'll have to pay attention to that story.
Yeah.
They didn't seem to care who it was. They were like, "You're in the desert at night, die." Okay, all right.
um, and then probably the last thing that sets us up for this, for the game, is that Lady Jessica specifically is supposed to have a daughter, and then her daughter's son is supposed to be the oh man, the Kesset's Hadark.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah, the
and
chosen one, right? The special guy. But instead,
yeah,
she has it herself instead of having her daughter have it.
and the Kesset Hadark is supposed to usurp the Emperor. So Shaddam 4 is supposed to be replaced by the Ben Jesuits
Was she supposed to have a
child,
daughter that
the
would then
Jesuit,
marry someone from the Emperor's line? Is that what's going to happen?
that marries someone from the Harkonnen line. And they've been doing this for literally 10,000 years. They've been setting these two houses up to have this marriage, to have this person, because they have a prescience that allows them to see the future, and they've seen that when this person is born, that he'll have access to ancestral memory from all of his ancestors. Well, being the two oldest houses, one House Atreides has some intermingling with House Carino, so this specific child would have had ancestral memory of all three major houses and the Ben Gesserit, and both the maternal and paternal sides of that, and so they would have been able to see basically the entire empire at once,
This makes
and
so
be
much
controlled by the
sense.
Ben Gesserit.
This makes
So
so much sense.
Lady
Yeah.
Jessica fucks them over so bad. I'm surprised they didn't kill her. I forget the explanation for that, but I mean, she literally ruins like 10,000 years of plans, and it's because she loves Duke Leto and wants to give him a son to be the heir to the Atreides throne,
I
which is,
think I
in
think
retrospect, a
she
wild reason, right?
well
Like,
they open the movie with her testing him if he could be
mhm,
that one, right? Essentially, they're curious, and then she says, "You better be
mhm,
right about this." I think when she goes to leave, when
yeah.
the Gesserit Queen leaves Lady Jessica and says, "I hope you're right about this," you know, because I think she was trying to have it herself, right? And obviously to give him a son, but also maybe she thought that she
Yeah.
could just have the special one herself. Because the people of Dune, the Sand People, the Fremen, were waiting for the chosen one, and they believe it to be Paul.
So that is an interesting bit of lore. So once Dune is discovered and the Ben Jesuits start using spice, they
Hmm.
start integrating themselves with the Freemen as the native people that control spices, drastically enhances their capabilities. Um, and they start implanting this idea and this religion amongst them, and they develop this religion over millennia that eventually the Kessex Dark will come, and he's the Messiah that will bring balance to all, and everything good and the best thing to ever happen. But in reality, for the Ben Gesserit, this person is just someone to control the Emperor.
Okay.
So it's crazy,
Hmm.
but it works in Paul Atreides' favor.
Hmm. Hmm.
So they kind of set themselves up for their own demise there.
Yeah. Huh.
It's
All right.
wild.
Lots of this helps me. It makes sense. You know. Um, I guess the more you know, the more all of it makes sense, and that's what makes it such an interesting universe.
Uh,
The lore is so deep, and even everything we're talking about today, there's more out there on different topics and different houses and different stuff, and you can know more about the books, or you can know more about the stuff before the books. You could, you know. Then we have the movies, which are kind of messing up the timeline a little bit. Like they're rewriting some stuff for sure, and now we have the game, which is also branching off, which I think you're going to get to in a second, right?
yeah. So now we're totally set up for the game. We're all on the same page, and the game is stated to be in an alternate universe where Lady Jessica has a daughter instead. So the events
But
of the
Paul
Spice Wars don't
introduces
happen,
it though.
etc. Well,
Yeah,
it makes sense because Paul Atreides is still alive in this universe. He didn't get killed by the Harkonnens because the Spice Wars didn't happen.
Paul. No, Paul. I thought. Muad'Dib.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm mixing up Duke Leto with
No,
Paul.
Duke Leto's alive too. But in the beginning of the game, when you first boot up Dune Awakening,
Really?
Paul introduces you. He has a beard on, and he says, "I've foreseen all the futures, and they all led to
Oh yeah,
doom,
yeah,
except this one that starts with leads to you." And it's kind
yeah,
of like they're doing that thing in MMOs where they try to make you the hero in a game and make you feel like you're
yeah.
special. And he saw you, but how is he explaining it and not there? Maybe
I
this is you're
think this
supposed to
is
not
some
overthink
Doctor
this.
Strange bullshit, where
Yeah.
they're just like, yeah, he's in all the universes at once. Um,
Okay.
and he's not, I don't think, but I'm pretty sure Paul Atreides too. His son is. He becomes a sandworm, which is like a little bit out there. But so the Ben Jeswell were right. So
Oh, he
the
names him Leto. Paul names his son Leto after his
okay,
grandfather.
yeah. So is it Leto too? Then yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
think it's
what
Leto the
it is.
second. Yeah, I think. I think.
So Leto the
Yeah.
second becomes a sandworm, um,
Yeah. Okay.
and like rules the emperor for another 10,000 years, and like there's a whole nother crazy timeline that happens with that. So
I
I'm
think in a
wondering if
nutshell,
it's
I
that
haven't read
guy
that one
then.
yet, but in a nutshell, I think he's trying to teach humanity a lesson not to be oppressed and to want freedom and creativity again, or something like that. Right after the
Yeah,
religious war, and after Paul purged all the planets and made them all religious and suppressed creativity and that kind of thing.
yeah. It's
I
some
think
part
his
of
son
his
tried.
golden plan to have them rebel against him and kill him or something.
Yeah,
That one
yeah,
gets a little wild.
that's one for a different day.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
the priest, the pre-lore to help set you up for the game so you know what's happening. But what in the game, the Fremen are gone. So something happened to the Fremen and they disappeared. And so far in the game that we were playing through, obviously Lady Jessica sends you to find out what happened to them. And that's your main quest line in Dune Awakening. Um,
I think they're there. I think
I think they're either
yeah.
there, but in the diaries they were reading, it sounded like they found another planet. I don't know.
Oh,
Don't hold me to
maybe.
that. I feel like I heard that in a brief moment where she's like, and we ventured to this other place. And I'm wondering if they left and went to a new planet or if they're buried somewhere in this planet. It'd be interesting to find out where they go with that with
Mm,
DLC and stuff.
and the
So,
Trials of Aquil.
yeah.
I see. I've seen the Trials of Aquil as like an ancient Freeman thing, like a
Okay.
little like kind of unrelated to the current plight of the Freeman. But maybe, yeah. I mean, the temples are not upkept or anything, so yeah, maybe something's happened to them.
I don't know.
That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting to find
I'm
out.
excited to see where it goes. Um, I have like this crazy theory that what if it can't be right, but what if Paul was here? What if Paul shows up somehow? I don't know, because he
Mhm.
wasn't born of his mother. Maybe she did have a son after that and she kept him from everybody and it's a secret. That may be too wild, or maybe he just transcends
Mm,
time itself and is now in this universe as well. I don't know. Like some real Doctor Strange stuff, you know what I mean? Like, I don't
yeah.
know. But I feel like him introducing the game is either just to have Paul Atreides in the game, and then we're not supposed to overthink it, and that's it. And now he's not really here, or if they're
Maybe.
gonna
Yeah.
weave him in as like a twist or something. You know what I mean? Who
Well,
knows?
I wonder because what at the end of his thing, we should put like a major spoilers warning at the beginning of this video or something. But so at the end of his life, right, he's blinded or something. Like there's some I don't know, some
Hmm.
rebellious person blinds him as a part of Freeman tradition. He has to go out into the desert and get eaten by the worm because that's what you do when you get blinded is you walk into the desert and get eaten by a sandworm.
Naturally,
So what my same thing happened to my grandfather.
yeah.
And so I wonder if that like they're gonna weave that in somehow. They're gonna be like, yeah, when you get eaten by a sandworm, you go to the other universe.
Yeah. See, I have no idea what they're gonna do, and maybe we're overthinking it, and they're just gonna
Yeah,
just keep a nice, clean universe.
yeah,
Nothing else happened. You know what I mean? But you never know. I'm not putting anything past them. They've done some weird stuff, like you were saying already, with people becoming sandworms. You know, in human computer brains and stuff. People being able to see visions of the future. I mean, we're not that far off from. They can pretty much do anything they want at this point, and it would kind of be within the scope of imagination. So,
Yeah, I think so. I'm really interested to see the Harkonnen and Atreides feud play out. Um,
so
I
which
think
house are you
that's going to be
joining in the
really
game?
fun. So in every MMO I just join whoever has the best weapons, and I feel like that's gonna be Harkonnen. Um, but it might not. I'm thinking lore wise, so Atreides has like a massive army.
Uh-huh.
They've always maintained a massive army since the Machine Wars, and they specifically have excellent swordsmen. So I'm wondering if they'll like separate it by class, you know. So if you want to be a swordsman, maybe it's better to join House Atreides.
Mm-hmm.
Lore wise, it's gonna be difficult for me. I think it's gonna have to be House Atreides.
I, I'm also leaning towards House Atreides just because I kind of like them better, and I like good guys in games generally. I usually play the Republic or the
Yeah.
Jedi or the Rebels over an evil force, like the Borg or the Empire, etc. Choose your villain. Like I usually pick the good guys over it, just because like I kind of tend to like role play the games a little bit, and I
Mm.
definitely would want to be on the good side. I'm not like a terrible person,
Have you
who
always
just
been that way? When you were a kid, did you choose the good guys too?
yes, if possible, I chose
Interesting.
the good guys. Yeah. Hey, what about you?
No, I chose the bad guys. I was wondering if it was like a an aging thing, right? Like we want we could get like really deep into this, but eventually, if you're following like a Greek set of morals or something, like you learn to care for yourself, then your family, then society, kind of like I'm skipping a lot of steps, but like, and we're going
Um,
back to like a Socratic way of thinking. I'm wondering is if it's like a rebellious thing that kids choose like the evil side. They're like, nah,
mhm.
we're gonna be the bad guys today. But then as you
Okay,
get older,
actually,
you're like, no, like it might be cool to do things right, you know?
it was kind of 50-50 for me. I think up until age 13 is when it changed because in my younger years playing video games, I would play the Empire in Star Wars, and my brother would play the Rebels. We couldn't be the same team. You know what I mean? There wasn't that many to choose from. And
That makes sense.
if it was the Trade Federation versus the Republic, he wanted to be the Clone Troopers, so I played the Trade Federation. So I guess yes, I did play the bad guys, but around age 13, 14, when I started playing RPGs where you could pick what you want to do, Knights of the Old Republic, the Star Wars game, is
Mm-hmm.
BioWare. You can be a really great person or a really terrible person. You can get a light side ending or a dark side ending. You can see a peasant and be like, yo, I'll give you money, don't worry, so you can pay your bills. Or you can be like, no, give me whatever you have left, and they give it to you and then you kill them. Like you could do either
Mm-hmm.
one. And I always went good. I never had that. I never had like a thing. I was like, oh, I want to be a terrible person in the game because it kind of made me feel bad, even as a teenager. You know,
Yeah.
like, oh man, I don't feel good doing that. And that's something another thing we get into is psychology as well, which you probably this is not a psychology podcast,
Yeah.
but they do say that video games themselves take a toll on your mind. And like if you do
Yeah.
horrible, god awful things in video games, it does actually affect your mind a little bit. Not as much as doing it in real life, but it doesn't help your mind. So
See that?
so I don't know. I just don't like playing bad guys, right? For the reasons that you were talking about as well. Just I kind of migrate towards good guys, but there are some games that have taken the bad guys and not made them villains. Like just because you're a Harkonnen, because you were born on that planet or you were born into that society, you didn't choose that. You could still be a good Harkonnen person. You know, I could see that. Like if people wanted to role play a Harkonnen that didn't agree with being evil, there's plenty of Harkonnens, I'm sure, that are nice people. You know.
Hmm. I'm interested to see how they do it, and we get a taste for it right off the bat, even in the even in the what am I trying to say? Even in the beta weekend, when we were only able to access 2 quests,
Uh-huh.
both of the quests revolve around espionage, which is part of the like edicts after the Machine Wars that
Hmm.
you can't have open warfare against another house.
So it's
Um,
all espionage and secret and Navy
yeah.
SEALs. Two other games that are MMOs, because this is an MMO, kind of. Um, World of Warcraft, the biggest MMO, when they did the movie, they made the movie about the orcs. And even in the later expansions of World of Warcraft, the orcs, who are the bad guys, are sympathized with, and you find out that they're not bad guys. They came from another world and came here to save their families because their other world was taken over by a bad guy, and the guy that's controlling them is bad, but they're not bad, and they overthrow him, kind of thing. And same thing
Hmm.
happened in Star Wars: The Old Republic. You can be born as a Sith, or as a Republic and be an amazing person. And some of the Sith storylines throughout the game are you overthrowing the bad Sith. Like you're a Sith and you go and you overthrow the people who are in charge because they're evil. And you don't have to be evil. You were just born as that. You were born on one of the many planets that are a bad planet. So I could see them doing that with this game where they're like, yeah, there was some terrible Harkonnens, but there's also some terrible Atreides. You know, you kind of can be either way. You're not locked into it. And if they do that, I could see I'd be fine making, I'd be, I can make a Harkonnen character. I'm a good guy Harkonnen. But even still, I think the Caladan planet is cooler than the Harkonnen planet. And the way
Yeah.
the
I'm
people,
trying
the
to
way
call
they
it like
look is
Leviathan
cooler.
or something. Leva something. But yeah,
I don't.
the seat of House Atreides is beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a water world and stuff. It looks really pretty, something out of Star Wars, and I like it, and I like their ships, and I like their armor, and I like their honor and how honorable
And they
they are.
did
And
it
I've
purposefully too. They made sure that they had a low level of industry on their home planet because they wanted it to be a beautiful place that reflected the beauty of humanity. It's just the way they are.
see, and I connect with them better. I mean, that makes more sense to me than like a war-driven Spartan society of
Yeah.
gladiator battles on a deserted planet, like a metallic planet with
Yeah.
warriors who just kill each other for fun and sport. That doesn't really resonate with me. So I definitely think in the Atreides. So now,
well, should we wrap it up? We're probably on the
yeah,
longer end of things that we want to do.
yeah. We can close it up for today. I think that it was awesome. I really appreciate you going through the lore because I didn't know a lot of that stuff, and now I do, and I hope that is helpful to other people who are listening. Whether it's a Twitch stream or live on YouTube, or if you catch this as a podcast, you can find us everywhere at Dune Gaming 101. Right?
If you want to correct us or add anything onto it,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of resources out there to find more information, and we've really scratched the surface of. It's a really deep lore. It's not a quick read.
Mm-hmm.
So let us know what you think is going on.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, then, till next time, we'll see you guys next weekend, and the game's coming out in less than 2 weeks.